Hey guys, Ashton here from the Wildflowers Creative Team, and today I'll be showing you how to paint this Art Nouveau design. We'll begin by using the color blonde and applying 2 coats to the nail, curing between each layer. This look is inspired by Emily Ballivet, and I will attach a link to the original picture in the description box below. After the second coat is fully cured, we'll be using the Wildflowers magenta brush and the black gel paint. Now, using a very light touch, we will be painting the outline for our Art Nouveau goddess. I recommend not curing until this entire step is complete, which will give you the opportunity to erase and repaint any areas that may seem disproportionate. So what we're doing at this point is just creating a guide for ourselves. This basically means that we're just marking all of the areas of separation. For example, at this point we have her jawline, her shoulders, and the top of her dress. And now we just need to paint a rough outline for her hand, her hairline, and her nose. Getting the correct proportions is definitely the hardest part when it comes to character art, but what I see a lot of people do is get about halfway through, and since it doesn't really look like anything, they may think it's wrong and erase the whole thing and start over. But since our gel paint is wet, I recommend just powering through and then erasing specific areas that look out of place. Once we've completed marking all the major areas of separation, we're just going to go in and lightly paint the facial features to help us with our shadow placement. And at this point, look over your guide and make any necessary corrections, and then give the nail a full cure. What makes this character a little bit easier than most is that her skin color is the same color that we used for the base of the nail, so we just need to go in and add shadows using the color Cuddles. The Wildflowers gel polishes are super pigmented, so we just need a tiny amount of color for this step. Using the black brush, we're going to follow our guide and add shadows. This step is fairly easy if you have a reference photo, but if you don't, then you always want to think about where your light source is coming from. So for example, the light would be coming from the top right of the screen for this design. This means that we need to add shadows under her jawline, along her hairline, her inner eye, under her nose and lip, the bottom side of her hand, and underneath her arms. Fully cure after this step, and then we will continue to use the black brush and switch over to the black gel paint. To paint her hair, we're going to follow the outline of our guide and just paint around the edges, and then using a lot of pressure, we're going to pull the color inwards. We're using a lot of pressure because we want to see our brush strokes. This adds dimension to the hair and keeps the overall design much softer. Once you've completed filling in her hair, give the nail a full cure and we will move on to the dress. So our goddess is wearing a Grecian draped style dress. So like we did with the hair, we're going to start with outlining our guide. But instead of filling in this area completely with the black gel paint, we're just going to add some brush strokes in the direction that the drapes would fall. By letting the base color show through, it does half the work for us by creating the illusion of highlights within the fabric. Remember to keep our light source in mind when it comes to painting her dress as well. So because our light is coming from the top right of the screen, there's going to be more shadows under her breasts, which means we don't need to let as much of the base color show through with this section. And again, after this step, give the nail a full cure. Now at this point, I realized that I cut off part of her nose with the black gel paint, and I want to make her shoulder more broad. So what we're going to do is use the pastel yellow Wildflowers gel paint because it's basically a perfect match for the blonde color that we use for the base. So continuing to use the black brush, we're just going to go in and give our goddess a little bit of a rhinoplasty and repair her shoulder as well. Now we're going to continue using the pastel yellow gel paint to create her headpiece and the brooch on her dress. In the inspiration photo, the flower in her hair kind of reminded me of a skull, so I thought it would be cool for my design to make the hairpiece like half flower, half skull, which I just did by turning the top two petals downwards a little bit more. And then for her brooch, we're just going to add some polka dots to the center of the bust of her dress in like a grape triangle formation. After this step's completed, we're going to fully cure the nail and then switch over to our magenta brush. And what we're going to do is just go in very lightly and add some hair strokes to give her style some direction. If you guys are enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to turn on the notifications because we have new videos coming out every Friday. After this step, fully cure, and then we'll be switching back to the black gel paint and the black brush. Now we're going to go in and just add a little nose to our half flower, half skull head piece, and then we'll be adding polka dots inside each of the dots that make up the brooch. Then we'll add some more dimension to her dress just by darkening a few of the shadows. After this step, fully cure the nail, and then we'll continue using the black gel paint and switch back to the magenta brush and add outlines to everything. This is what's really going to make our goddess come alive. And don't forget the small details such as adding separation to her fingers and definition to her lips. I love painting on such small canvases because you can leave out a lot of details and the mind will just naturally fill it in. For example, when painting the lips, we're just going to paint the top lip and then add an underline to the bottom lip, and that's going to add separation without making her look too pouty. Once all of the outlining is complete, fully cure the nail, and then we'll use the color Cuddles again, which we used for the shadows, and the black brush, and we're just going to paint along the outside edges of our goddess to add some separation from her and the background. Cure after this step, and then we'll be using the Wildflowers Gel Polish color Imperial Jewel to add some final details to this design. We're going to use the black brush and with a sweeping motion pull the color inwards starting with more pressure and ending with very little to give the lines a nice point at the end. Fully cure after this step, and then we're ready to apply a matte top coat. Be sure to follow Wildflowers Nail Shop on Facebook and Instagram for weekly deals and giveaways. If you'd like to follow my personal account, it's Miss Ashton on Instagram, MISASHTON. And here is the final look, you guys. Thank you so much for watching.